Howdy, Beeflowbart here, and welcome back. And this is video 2. And as promised in the first video, if you haven't watched it, go back and do it now. Now. No, you go right now and do it. Okay, for the rest of you, what I said that I was going to do is make a heads-up display. A simple heads-up display with health, hunger, and thirst. And it's just going to be a basic one for now, but it will be functional. And it's a lot easier to do than what you might think. So in my UMG folder, I'm going to create a new folder here called Widgets. And this is going to be where I'm going to create our heads-up display. And I'm going to create a user interface widget blueprint called player underscore HUD. And save all. And what I'll do, actually, let's go in here and just create a basic nothing template. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create right over here. There's so many different ways you can actually do this. The simple way is just throw everything in here and be done with it. And that's what I'm going to do for right now. And I'm going to grab 3 progress bars. 1. And I will grab 2 and a tree. Lovely, huh? Beautiful. Now the first thing I want to do is I'm going to anchor these to the bottom right hand corner of the screen before I get started, because I know I will forget. Okay, so with that, these look kind of junk, so we want to have a little bit of size to them. So let's try a size of 300 by 40. That looks lovely. So we'll make all of them 300 by 40. And to start putting them in a good location to where they're going to be anchored well to the bottom right hand corner. You notice once we have them anchored to the bottom right, if you were to do 0 and 0 for your position for X and your Y, not really going to work. And if you just did 300 by 40, well, that's even worse. So let's try negative 300 by negative 40. Well, that just puts it at the very, very crease of the screen. We don't want to do that, so we want to give it about I'm going to say a 40 buffer. Or let's go with a 50 buffer. So we would do negative 350 by negative 90. And that's going to bring it out from the corner just a little bit. And then from here, we know that we've got negative 350, negative 350. But we want to get these lined up to where they're spaced evenly apart. So that brings us to this. We know that our Y position is 90 here. So let's experiment. I know where I'm going to go with this, but let's go with negative 110 is not going to be enough. You can experiment, or you can actually use math. Damn that. So, yeah. So we're just going to run negative 150. And then for this one, nope, negative 200 won't work. So let's try, nope. Black's good enough. I think it's lovely. So we're going to use this one right here to be our health bar. So I want to change the fill color and opacity. I'm going to go with red. Red is lovely. Red is going to be our health. And I'm dragging it up here because I'm going to refer to it again later. And you notice it didn't change here. Well, it's because we didn't have anything in that bar yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, there's other things that I can do, like make the background invisible and, yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to go ahead and move up to this one. Now, as you notice, we haven't clicked on it right here. We're going to go ahead and name this one our health bar. Our next one in line, we're going to go ahead and we can rename it up here as well. Thirst bar. And we can leave that color. That's fine. It's kind of a blue thing for thirst. Yeah, blue water, right? And then the last one down here, we're going to go ahead and call that our hunger bar. And we want a good color for hunger, so let's actually use green. But I want to use kind of a darker color. That looks delightful. Anyway, yeah, I'm old, shut up. I have a lot of sarcasm. So now we have our health, hunger, and thirst bars, but they're not going to really do anything yet. But I'm going to go ahead and compile and save. And I'm going to go ahead and close it down. We need to come into our characters folder, players and blueprints, player_base, and let's find us a clean section to work with here. And we want event begin play. And with that, from the event begin play node, we want to create a widget. And that widget is going to be the player HUD. Owning player, for now, we're going to stick with the get the player character. Let's see. Get owning player. I'm going to try that, but that's not going to work. Yeah, it doesn't like that. So we need to get a reference to the owning player. So from the owning player, there is no player character. No, it's not the player controller. We're going to run with it just to see. This is supposed to work, but it doesn't. In a return value, we want to add this to the viewport. And that should make it visible. Now, I'm foreseeing a problem with this. Normally I have player controller set up, and it works that way. But, okay, it's working with a player controller, not player character. So we can see we have the bars visible now. So all we got to do is just make them work. And inside our player base, we got these two here, and we got my character. Let's create a new section for these, just because. I'm going to call that turns. Just get these out of here, and I'm going to go ahead and put that one in the same category. But we need to go ahead and create some variables, and the first variable is going to be health, and it is going to be of the type of float, instance editable, expose on spawn, sure, why not. Category, we're going to call this player stats, and then we are going to replicate it, do that, and we're not going to worry about those just yet. Now we want to go ahead and create a new variable called, we'll go ahead and, yeah, let's go ahead and call it thirst, and another one called hunger. And on that, we don't need to worry about replicating this one. I am going to go ahead and do instance editable and expose on spawn, just because. Now what I want to do is hit compile and save. And now I can come back to that health, and I'm going to give it a value of 100. Same thing for thirst. And the same thing for hunger. All those values are now going to be set to 100. Now, what I can do is come back into my widgets folder and in my player HUD, and I'm going to click on the health bar, and we're going to set the binding. And we're going to bind, create binding, and, well, let's get started with it. I'm actually going to come back in here, and I'm going to call this get health. First thing we want to do is we want to cast to player underscore base. And get player character. And as player base, we want to get health. And then we want to go ahead and we want to do a float divided by float. And we want to divide it by 100. Then we can connect that into the return value of the return node. So what that's going to do is it's going to be on a percentage of 100. That's the way I like to do it, so I'm going to stick with it. So now that we've got our get health variable is done, we go back to our designer, and let's go to our thirst. We want to bind the percentage here, create a binding, and it's pretty much going to be the same exact thing. And what we want to do is I'm going to rename this just because I want to. So we know that it's the thirst. We're going to cast to player underscore base. We want to get the player character. And then get our thirst. And from here, again, float divided by float. And we're going to put that value at 100. Do that. Make it pretty. And we're done. And what we could have done is Control C on those two right there. And that way we've got them instead of trying to type it in each time. Go back to our designer tab, and the final one is going to be our hunger. We're going to bind that, create binding, drag you over here, drag you over there, rename you, get our hunger, Control V, slap that in there, move these around, get our hunger, float divided by float, 100, connect that, and we are good. So what we've done is now gave functionality to our three items right there. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, and for now I'm going to close that. I'm going to make sure we have everything saved, and I'm going to hit play. Now you can see all three of my bars are full. We have working health bar, hunger bar, and thirst bar. Okay, so we want to see that they work. So what we can do is come back to our player, and we can go ahead and first off, I'm going to grab these three right here, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to collapse to function. And I'm going to call that function player HUD. So it makes it really, really tiny, and there's less to look at. So let's go ahead and how do we know our health is working? Well, we can create what I call a pain trigger. And this is just going to be a very, very simple one. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder called temp. And inside this temp folder, I'm going to create a blueprint of the actor type. I'm going to call this a pain panel, whatever, who cares. And what I want to do is I want to add a component. I want to add a cube. Lovely. And then I want to add another component of a box collision. Lovely. And I'm going to go ahead and resize this to 0.2. And we're going to resize this to 0.2. Grab our box collision. We're going to drag it up since it loves to conform to that whole thing there. So I'm going to go ahead and make that 10 so it's back to its normal size again, roughly. And a 1.5 by 1.5 by 10 is good enough. And we just want that to be on this. Now, what I'm going to do is go ahead and compile, save, go to my event graph, and don't need any of these. We can actually use the event actor begin overlap, will work. So let's go ahead and cast to player underscore base. Connect the object to the other actor. And what we're going to do whenever the actor walks over and begins to overlap, we want to get our health. We want to set our health. So the first one we're going to do is we are going to set our health to health minus float. We're going to remove 25 every time we go through there. And this is very, very simple. All it's going to do is, as soon as we walk over it, it's going to immediately knock off 25 of our health. And we'll go ahead and take that, throw it into the map, hit play. As soon as we walk over it, bang, our health just went down by 25. Hey, another 25. Ooh, gee, another 25. And now, quote unquote, we're dead. So we know that our health bar works. We know that they're all going to give us our correct values. But what I want to do in the second video is go ahead and create the actual hunger and thirst systems so that over time our hunger is going to go down. And you can see autosave. No, just no. In fact, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go edit, editor preferences, and up here on the top, click on auto, or type in autosave, and I'm going to uncheck and enable autosave. I don't want you saving chat, okay? I'll save it whenever I save it. So yeah, I will add the functionality so that our hunger will diminish over time and our thirst will diminish over time, forcing us to have to get a pickup item of food or drink so that we can replenish that. And if we don't, what's going to happen is it will start damaging our player to the point where we'll actually kill our player. So we'll do that in the next video. And I want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.